Well, so that's one big issue. The biggest probably is to stay within the planetary boundaries, but we could do that by stopping all human activities, and that would be terrible for human being and our well-being. So we also have to stay within the socio-economical boundaries and provide what people needs to have to maintain their well-being. But as an ecologist, of course, I'm also concerned a lot about biodiversity and the loss of biodiversity, and that's another big issue that is coming up. So I guess to summarize this, we are facing several huge challenges that forces us to change the model. And in order to get there, we probably have to look at some new values, and have the people willing to modify the value system that we are under at the moment, which is essentially based on consumption and so far. So in order to go into a society which is probably more towards sobriety and more socially connected, and going back to simpler values, I think. So my role by teaching, by doing research, is to try to find ways to better look into the data, like we did for the COVID, into understanding what's the situation, and then ideally acting towards something which will bring a better solutions. So this is, and I do that through my expertise in a geographic information system through maps, which can help us describe the world we are living in and provide on a very fine-scaled level information on the state of the climate, state of the water, state of the biodiversity, human development, and so on and so forth. And by combining all this data, we get a better picture of where we are now and how it could move on in the future, and how we could act in guiding it towards a better future. And I think it's also a kind of a fight against the world we live in, where more and more we are facing all kinds of misinformation, fake news, and all this, where scientists have to try, and it's a hard, complex world we live in, but try to provide these evidence as clearly as possible. So I think I will learn just as much as the students, and it's an exchange of ideas, and it's what we need to have across society at all levels. And it's not anymore a problem that can be solved by scientists or politicians. It's a societal challenge that everybody needs to be aware of and take action.
So good, thanks, fantastic. I think it's
currently, I think we need to be aware that now really we have the fire in the house, because it's not anymore urgent, it's more than urgent. In a sense, because we see, and yesterday when we look at the newspaper with this new report that will came out from the IPCC, showing us that we are reaching these tipping points where probably it's going to be not anymore possible to go back to a state where the climate is let's say stable. It's frightening. We need to solve this issue as soon as possible. We need to work together, to come together, and I was a bit afraid when we look in Switzerland to the outcome of the latest votations, that the people are not aware of that. They seems to don't care, or at least a part of the population, obviously, and especially I think the young generation should be aware of that, and should act proactively to raise awareness also among the politicians, among the families, among the entire society, that we need to act and to solve this issue collectively. So as a researcher, I'm trying to bring new evidences on what's occurring in Switzerland, especially in terms of climate change. What are the impacts of the climate change, and possibly what are also the solutions to tackle this issue? But I would say that probably the solution, it's more on the citizen side. So with my family, with my wife, with my kids, we are trying to also to do our best to produce less waste, to take the public transport when we move in Geneva or even in Switzerland, taking the train. We are trying to eat locally and things like that. So that's really from the citizen side. I would say that we are trying also to act. And I think as a researcher now, we have also in a sense a kind of obligation to also to go in the public arena and even in the political arena, so that we can really raise the voice of the science into that field. I really think that education is key for raising awareness about the urgency about climate change and even also the biodiversity crisis, and bringing different practitioners, not only scientists, but people from the architectural field, the urbanism, from the biodiversity. Well, it's together that we will find a solution to fight climate change. It's not only the scientists or only the politicians. It's really the society as a whole, with all the components, that we have the key to find a proper solution that we can apply at different scales. It can be the city scale, even a smaller scale than a city, but also at the national, regional, and global scale.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. The real issue that we are facing is that all the problems are becoming more and more intertwined. And the solutions that have been proposed until now to address these challenges are still very much sector-based, and from research point of view is disciplinary based. So we need to cut across these disciplines from the science perspective, but also translate the scientific knowledge into policy across different sectors and come up with trans-sector, transversal solutions towards ecological urgency and climate change. Well, it's well known now that the planet is increasingly urban. The population living in cities is growing, and the impact of our urban living and all the externalities of urbanized areas, negative externalities, are affecting heavily environmental change, ecological change, such as and contribute to planetary dynamics such as climate change. So sound urban policies and design and planning can enable us to live in our cities while reducing as much as possible the negative externalities that cities have on their natural environment, and bring to the population, to the citizens, new choices in terms of city living that would be also respectful of nature and the ecosystems that their cities are built in. This workshop is one of a kind opportunity for participants to get a stock of the most updated scientific knowledge on various entry points to ecological change, and give them a catalog to build their own knowledge bases across disciplines, across various sectors of intervention, to respond as comprehensively as possible to these challenges, and to build up their professional competencies on long term in line with the needs of tomorrow, which, as I said, is precisely cutting across the disciplines and proposing solutions to the challenges that are very comprehensive and transversal.
Great, thank you. Now we
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.